To Live with Carrie here at Whimsy Stamps every Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time at noon Central. I'm so glad you're here with me. Today we're going to be playing with some of the stamp sets and dies that are in the last chance section on the website. And if you haven't had a chance to check those out, all the items that are in that last chance are like the title. Once they're sold out, they are gone. They're not going to be restocked. So if you have your eye on any of those, do head over to whimsystamps.com and get those in your basket and check out so that you don't miss any of your favorites. If you like the ones that I'm using today, you can definitely use my affiliate links that will be listed under the video, or you could go over to Whimsy Stamps. So let's go ahead and switch cameras and take a look at what we're going to make. All right, so here are the cards that I made with one of my favorite stamp sets for winter, and that is the little Happy Feet penguin. Aren't they so cute? So these I put on wobblers because they just looked like they were dancing, and I thought that was fun. And then here we have the friends playing in the snow. So for both of these cards, I did stamp the inside. Winter is better with friends. And I used the same sentiment on the inside of this one. So I really wanted my color choices for these cards to be in line with the kind of whimsical, playful penguins that are on them. So I went with the pinks and purples and blues. And let's begin with a little bit of coloring. And for the images, I used the Olo markers. And I wanted my penguins to be kind of softer tones than their scarves and their clothes. So all of my penguins are colored with colors that had a bit of gray in them. And one thing I really like about the Olos is you don't have to do a lot of searching through colors. You know, when you're coloring with Copics, there's a lot more choice. So I'm going to go ahead and color this one up for you. But you can see that coloring with the Olos, they are alcohol markers, but they're a lot less choices as far as the number of pens. So you can do your shading often with just one or two pens, and they're great for simple coloring. And with the Olo markers, your ink flows out much faster. So it is a little different than coloring with Copics if you're used to coloring with Copics, but they're a great choice for alcohol markers if you're looking to invest in those. So you can see here, whoops, I'm stuck under my card. I went with I'm just going to color this little guy right here, and I chose the pale purples with the grays added in. That's the V41 and the V43. And then for his scarf, I went with a bright blue. I'm going to use the B06. And this is a really dark color, and the ink comes out very quickly. And the longer you have your pen held down, the faster that ink is going to flow. So that's something you have to think about when coloring with the Olos. And I did all the others in a similar way. And I'll just tell you the colors. I'm kind of a slow color, so I don't want to take up our time. But for my blue one, his belly is the B20. And his arms and legs are the B03. Then for my little pale purple guy up here, I use the BV44 for his body and the BV42 for his skin, his arms and legs. For the scarves, I use the V04 and the V2.6. So I won't make you watch me go through all the coloring because I pretty much did them all the same, just with different colors. And I did their little beaks in orange and their feet. And for the snowball, I left that just white, and I will show you what we're going to do with that when we get to that point. So you can see here, I've got my images all colored up for us and ready to go. And I really liked making my penguins there in those fun colors. A penguin doesn't always have to be black or gray. It's fun to do them up in some happy colors. All right. The next thing we're going to do is make our titles. And I do want to show you the stamps, the products real quick. So this one is the Happy Feet, and it is on in the Last Chance. And it is such a fun stamp set. So many things. This is the Best Friend die set. And this also is in the Last Chance section. We're going to be using that this morning. There's several wonderful paper collections, the 6x6 paper collections that are in the Last Chance, and this is one of them. It's called Chili, but these are fantastic, and I'm definitely going to pick up 2 or 3 of this one. I love that it's got the solids along with it. Great for making frames and such, but it gives you 2 of each one. The items that we're using that are not in the Last Chance are the Merry and Bright and my 2 frame sets. I'm using the scalloped the inverted scallops, and I'm also using the sprinkled scallops. And these 3 products are not in the Last Chance. So, all right. To do our titles, I don't know about you, but there's a few techniques that, of course, they're kind of oldies but goodies, but as I'm crafting along, sometimes I just forget to use them. So today I'm just revisiting a couple ideas that have been around for a long time, but I just hadn't used them in a long time. So one of those is to do your dies, to do some ombre coloring, ink blending to make your titles. So I'm going to use some distress inks for this. And this one is the Broken China. Tap off over there, and I'm just gonna, and you don't have to be super exact about it, because this is, we're gonna use this to die cut our images, our titles, I should say, not images. So I'm just gonna lay down quite a bit of the blue here, the Broken China. And I am using Spectrum Noir marker paper for this, and I'm probably shaking the whole camera. Sorry about that. But we're just going to lay down quite a bit of color here, because I'm going to overlap with my seedless preserves to get 3 colors total, even though I'm only using 2. So now I'm going to come back with the seedless preserves. Tap off just a little. That seedless preserves is a very heavy color, but I'm going to overlap just halfway up there. And you can see that now we have 3 colors where it overlaps. We've got a little bit of a different color in there of the purple, where it mixed together. I'm just going to come back with a little bit more of my blue to go a little bit higher up and down. Make sure I have enough room to do my whole sentiment. All right, so now that I have my ink blending ready, we're going to go ahead and die cut the word friends out of our ink blended area. There we go. And in this die set, it's kind of cool because you have the choice. You can use the word friend, you can use best friend, or you can use add the S to say best friends, or you can just have friends. So there's gives you some choice there in the way that these are made. I think I'm going to do it this direction with the purple on top. And I'm going to angle this so that I get a little more variation in my color. And for the S, I'm going to put him, I always forget which way this S goes. Yeah, just like that. Okay. One time I die cut it and I had it completely upside down. So the dyslexic in me does that. Okay, we're going to run this through the machine just real quickly, and we will have our ombre sentiment for the front of our card. So you'll have to tell me there in the chat if the ombre stamping is something that you forget from time to time. Of course, it's not hard or anything. I just forget to use it, right? Hello, Irina and Saskia. I'm sorry. I totally messed up your name. I'm sure that's a new one for me. Here we have the word friend, and I know my ink blending didn't look very good on just the paper, but it looks really cool once you go ahead and get that die cut. I really like that for these fun cards. Oh, thank you. You like the cute penguins. I know, aren't they just not my coloring, but whoever the artist was that made them. They're so much fun. And I have a group of friends that they just love winter sports and skiing. They go skiing in Park City, Utah every year. My husband and I were not much on the winter sports. We both grew up in very cold, snowy places, and we don't like to vacation in the snow, so we don't usually go with them. But these penguins just reminded me of my friends who all like to go skiing together. There we go. Want to get the little eye. Now, if you ever lose the little dot on your eye, using the little centers of the S can often save you. So just a little tip if you're like me and you misplace those a lot. Okay. All right. So looks much better once it's die cut out, doesn't it? All right. So there we go. I am very quickly just going to switch over here to YouTube to see if I can see the comments. Take me just 1 second. All right, there we go. All right, I'm able to see everyone's comments. Now, the next technique that we're going to do, we've done some Olo coloring and our ombre stamping, is I am going to grab a little piece of vellum. Now, you may have noticed I've used two different sentiments here, and on this one, the Merry and Bright, it comes with an outline die. So it's easy to get that look. You know, you can just do your ombre, stamp it, and then cut a thing. But on the Friends, it does not come with an outline die. So I never let that stop me. We can go ahead and let me grab my little piece of vellum that I have here. We're going to go ahead and glue down our word Friends, and then we're going to just freehand cut ourselves a outline so that we can have these cards, you know, have a similar feel to them. So don't ever feel like you can't, you know, get the look that you want. Don't be afraid to just jump in there and create it yourself if what you're using doesn't have necessarily all that you want it to have. You know, you can do that freehand. And that way they'll have that similar look behind it. Now I'm going to raise the friend part up just a little bit. I am using some reverse tweezers for this. So tell me there in the chat, do y'all like the winter sports and the winter activities? Are you ones that like to go out and play in the snow? I grew up playing in the snow all the time. Walked to school in the snow. I lived just south of Chicago when I was growing up, so there was lots of cold and snow. Okay, so now I am just going to use my little scissors to cut myself a nice fun frame. Just a bubble frame. And when I'm doing things like this, I don't like to overthink it too much. I find that when I go a little faster, I like it better than if I slow down. Okay, I'm going to cut that off there. and kind of keep my scissors moving, I get a better outcome than if I go real slow and overthink it. So nope, Denise, you say you're not a winter person either. Well, you're in Florida, aren't you? So you're like me here in Texas. You like things warm and cozy. That's definitely. So here we go. We've got our friends. And let's see here. I went ahead and did the Merry and Bright beforehand. I'm sorry, I keep putting things up here out of the camera view. So we've got our friends. And it looks like my dot on my eye didn't make it on there. So we're going to fix that very quickly. Add it right there. I like to use my pen. Here I saved it and then I forgot to add him on. No problem. There he goes. Okay. Now, I went ahead and even though this is a pearlescent vellum, and I like pearlescent vellum because you don't see the adhesive through it quite like. So if you just put it right on the vellum, you're going to see it. But if you try to just kind of put your pieces where the letters are, it kind of, you don't really see it. You might see a little bit of shadow around your letter, but you can still use that and foam and it still hides it back there. So we're going to go ahead and add some foam to the back of Friends. And I'm just going to try to keep it right on the letters. Oh, Denise, you're like me. You lived in New Hampshire. Yes, having grown up in Chicago, my friends here in Texas, they get so excited when it snows and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, nope, been there, done that. Have no desire to go back to it. That's not knocking the ones that love to ski. And, you know, I love to go to those states to visit, but I like to go in the summertime. So there we go. So I did not know that you grew up or lived in New Hampshire. So there we go. All right. So we've got our foam. All right. And I know you can't see it very well in person, but if you look there, I mean, you can see a little bit there around the S, but when that's on your card and it has patterned paper underneath, you're not going to see any of that. So I like that pearlescent vellum for that reason. Okay, we're really coming together. I have gone ahead and taken a piece of the glitter foam, and I'm going to use this to be my snow. And I'm just going to kind of freehand myself a little hill because I want my little snowball to just kind of sit down in that dip. So there we go. We've got that all ready to go. Now, whenever you use one of these 6x6 paper pads, let me grab one of my dies here. Oops, there we go. So when you cut your piece out, you always have this little strip left over. So I don't know about you, but in my like scrap box, I have so many of these little, it's not quite 2 inches. It's a little more than 1.5, but not quite 2. I have tons of these little strips. And let's see, here's one. So you have this little piece that's always the piece that comes from the side, right? And another thing you may have in your scrap box is tons of pieces like this, where you've cut out a frame and the center section is left over. So I never throw those away. So they accumulate in my scrap box. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that I have for using those things up. So I've gone ahead and die cut one of the sprinkled scallops out of the patterned paper here. And if you measure the little inside area, it is 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I went ahead and cut down one of just a white piece of paper to that size. So that's 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then all those little pieces of scrap that I have, I just cut them into strips, and they're all different sizes, but all of them I can get to the width of 3.5. So I've gone ahead and lined those out. And the easiest way that I have found to do this is to get a tape runner, and I go ahead, go around the whole area with my tape runner. Someone had asked me what kind of tape runner I use, and this one, oh, it's just a scrapbook.com, I think. I don't use tape runners very often, but this is one technique that I do like to use a tape runner rather than wet glue. But now that I have my tape runner, or my, the tape on there, and I didn't put it solid, I just made stripes, I'm going to start adding my strips that I have cut, and I stack them up pretty randomly. And you can see that they're all different widths. But these paper packs, because all of the papers coordinate, they're great to do this with. And you can get another background to go along with other cards. I like to make my cards in little sets so that there's, 4 or 5 that match. And I always end up with one that kind of has a background like this, because it just finishes off so I don't have all these scraps going to waste. All right, this one's going to be under the snow, so it's not going to matter so much, but I'm going to go ahead and put that down. So now that you have it all glued down, we can just turn it over and trim it off. So now I still have a little bit of waste that I'll probably have to throw some of that away, but I've used up those little almost 2-inch strips that I accumulate, and the centers of frames that I have made. This is a good way to just use some of those up so that you're not wasting so much of your paper. All right, so here we have a fun background, and it's going to fit perfectly right inside of our die cut that we made. Saskia says that she's definitely more of a summer girl too. Yeah, I never learned to snow ski, and my mother, my family just didn't do that. We didn't, we just didn't do that. And so I never learned. And now that, I'm the age I am, and we'll just not say the number, but, I don't think it's good to learn at this age. If I had learned, whoops, I glued that down too soon. I should have cut this before I did that, but no problem. We'll just go ahead and cut one end off and line it up. And I can use my pencil here to give me a mark to cut the other end. There we go. All right. I should have added my snow before I glued it down, but I was talking about skiing, right? All right. So now that I have it here, rather than add my glue to this piece, I'm just going to add some glue right down here and fill it in. And now I can add my foam. And this is the glitter foam. It's kind of a fun product. You can find that in craft stores, and there you go. And I like having that dimension. You can kind of see it sticks up there. So, all right. So I have also gone ahead and cut one of the scalloped pieces out of that same paper pad, and a piece to go underneath. And we have our 2 cards ready to go. So I hope that several of you have gone over to the website and checked out that last chance section. I have a long list of things that I definitely want to get a hold of before they are gone. So let's go ahead and do this one first. We'll layer these pieces over side. We'll do that one second. And both of these are going to be A2 cards. So I'm going to go ahead and get my A2 cards ready. And the way these dies are made is it's going to give you a white outline. And that is my favorite way. Here I am out of camera again. Okay, there we go. It always gives you a white outline. So even though my little snowball friends are down, I'm going to angle this, And I want my little penguin's arms to kind of be up in my title, just to kind of tie them all together. So it's okay with me if my word friend kind of goes up over the frame a little bit. Oops, before we glue all that down, I'm going to open up and we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment on the inside. So I'm going to use Something Borrowed, which is a bright blue from Catherine Pooler ink, and I'm going to go ahead and just stamp Winter is Better with Friends. Definitely if I have to be in a winter setting, it's going to be way more fun with some friends, right? And these penguin friends sure look like they're having a good time. There we go. There's a... See how beautifully that just stamped all in one time? Such good quality stamps from Whimsy. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and add our pieces on the front. So using paper strips like that to create yourself a background, that's not a new idea, but it is one that, you know, is easily forgotten. And then you look down one day and your scrap box is just full of all these little pieces of paper. But I love that all 4 of these cards are going to be color coordinated because from the same paper pack, I've created these backgrounds. Let's get that one over. All right. One more thing we want to do before we glue this down is to finish off our snowball. We made this nice glitter foam as our snow, and our snowball is going to look a little plain on top. So I'm going to take a glue pen, and I have that handy, and this is any glue pen will do, and I'm just going to color it in. I'm going to color that all in with glue. Now, if you don't have a glue pen, you can use wet glue and just fill it in, but it's going to dry way faster with this glue pen. And now I'm just going to, right here in my glitter tray, I'm just going to turn it upside down and tap right there in my excess glitter. And you can see now our snowball is going to look a lot more festive on our snow. So I'm going to go ahead and add some foam to the back of this. And I'm going to keep the foam on the ball pretty high up because I want it to sit down on my snow, not way above the snow. There we go. So is everybody ready for the holidays? Do you have your presents wrapped and your cookies baked and all? I tell you, I'm a little behind this year. I do have my presents bought, which I'm very happy about that. I'm just going to kind of center him right here. There we go. And I purposely did not add foam to the back of my scarves. I thought the way that they're kind of flowing out there, I wanted them to have movement. And now I'm just going to add my sentiment. There we go. And like I said, I wanted them to kind of be touching the word friends. There we go. And every time you kind of freehand like this, it's going to come out just a tad different, and that's okay. But it gives it a nice coordination with the others. Purple and blue version. I'm just going to real quick switch between my screens. Denise, you're very behind. You still need to do more shopping. I think I'm finally done with shopping. I hope so. I need to wrap everything just to make sure. All right, I'm going to grab one more card base here. And again, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside with our Winter is Better with Friends. Let that ink kind of soak down into my paper. There we go. And another thing I'm going to do on this one is I have gone ahead and put several of the snowflakes on this stamping block. And I have a couple colors here of ink, and I'm going to stamp just a few snowflakes around this sentiment. And when you have them all on one, you can just kind of turn it over, especially when it's one of these little, just being very random about it. I think I'll do one more. There we go. All right, I like having those snowflakes inside. Let's put one more little one over here. There we go. All right. That one turned over. And we'll finish up this second card. Just, oh wow, Saskia, you're finished with everything other than groceries. Oh boy. No. I like to make you might have noticed from my last name that I married an Italian gentleman, and several years ago my mother-in-law, who is from Sicily, taught me to make biscotti back when I was first married. So my mother just loves biscotti, so I have to make some almond biscotti to give as gifts. So that's kind of the main thing I have to make. And then of course the sugar cookies and the gingerbread and those kinds of things. So I have a lot of baking that I want to do. You say yummy. Well, it is one of our favorites. You know, some people think they're too dry and crunchy. Like my kids don't really love them because they're not into dry and crunchy. But me, I love dry and crunchy. So they're one of my favorite cookies. And if my mother-in-law could hear me say it, she would be laughing because she says I pronounce it wrong. I'm sure she's right. So again, I'm going to add my Merry and Bright, but I'm going to let that kind of come up onto the frame. And now for my 3 little dancing penguins, we are going to add some of the little wobblers. And I think I did this on the very first card that I made for Whimsy Stamps, and I had quite a bit of trouble taking the sticky off of the back. So I'm going to use my my tool here, this awl or pokey tool, whatever you want to call it, and that helps quite a bit to get these off. You just can slide it under and lift it up. And I am going to, for this one, I am going to go ahead and attach them to the back of the image so that I get that in the right place. And we're going to attach them to each of our dancers here so that we can get them placed so they all fit. Oops. There we go. Okay. And you might notice on the wobblers, you always have like one end that is open and then one end that's flat. I am putting my open end on the image. I don't know if there's a right or wrong. That's just the way I've always kind of done it. There we go. All right. Got my little trash out of the way. I'm going to kind of line them up exactly how they were stamped. This guy was kind of tilting that direction, and then these two were tilting the other direction. So that's how I'm going to put them on. And hopefully I can do this without breaking my wobbler like I did last time. That was so funny. I go back and watch and it cracks me up. All right, so he's going to be over on this foot. Go. And then this one is going to be on the other foot. And same with this little guy. I did it again, y'all. There's something about me and wobblers that have trouble when you're alive. When I do them at home by myself, I've never had one break. And this is the second time when I'm live, I have one break. So you know what? I'm not going to let that thwart me. I am going to get a little piece of foam. Let's see. This guy might be just a little taller than normal, but I'm going to get a little piece of foam and it's going to go right on there. There you go. Come on, dude. Okay, so that little guy on this card is not going to wobble. I tell you what, as I'm talking about it happening before, it happens again. I'm going to have to invest in a better quality wobbler, I think. Okay, so here are our fun winter cards. Let's see. Using the Happy Feet out of the Last Chance section, and aren't they cute? I'm going to wrap these up with a nice purple ribbon and give them to a friend. And they all are saying winter is fun with friends. And we got the wobbler, we got sparkles, and I just really like the way these cute little fellas turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera back. All right. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I hope that during this holiday season, you're finding plenty of time to craft and at the same time, get ready for all your holiday festivities. I'm looking forward to getting started on the baking and all of that. So I will put some affiliate links down below. If you don't have the Happy Feet or the Best Friends or some of the paper pads, definitely go and check those out in the Last Chance section because there's some great products there. All right. I hope you have a very productive week getting ready for the holidays, and I look forward to crafting with you again next Thursday, same time. Have a great week. Bye-bye.